He pulled out his phone again, scrolling through the list of women who had shown interest in him over the years. Each name felt like a hollow promise, a fleeting connection. His mind was fixated on Delhi, on the idea of her with someone else. None of these women seemed to measure up. Why hasn't she come to her senses? His finger hovered over a name, but he couldn't press the call button. His heart wasn't in it. His thoughts kept drifting back to the night they had spent together, how everything had changed between them, how his world had tilted on its axis. He didn't want anyone else, he wanted her. He could have anyone else, but he didn't want them. Damn it, he muttered, tossing the phone aside in frustration. But then, as if by some cruel twist of fate, a thought struck him. What about Sebastian? Sebastian was the kind of guy who could track anyone down. If anyone could give him the information he needed, it was him. He could find out more about Blake, the man who was currently enjoying Delhi's company. He dialed the number quickly, impatience bubbling in his chest. Hey man, Sebastian's voice came through the line, and Ashton could hear the background noise of what sounded like a gallery event. I need a favor, Ashton said, his tone urgent. I need you to run a background check on this guy. His name's Blake. He's a dentist, and he wore a bright purple shirt when we met. Sebastian's tone shifted. Wait, what's going on? Why aren't you at the gallery tonight? You know we need to be schmoozing the potential buyers, right? Ashton's jaw clenched. Forget that, for now. I need you to do this for me. My brother can handle the rest. Okay, but who is this guy? Sebastian asked, clearly confused. That's what I need you to figure out, Ashton replied. He's out with Dilly tonight. I need to know if he's a decent guy or if I need to step in. Sebastian's voice lowered in understanding. Let me get this straight. You haven't talked to her, but you're having me do a background check on her date? Ashton's frustration boiled over. I've hooked up with her. More than once. But then she says she only wants to be friends. I don't know what's going on, but I can't stand the idea of her being with some guy I don't know. Sebastian chuckled softly. You're jealous, aren't you? Ashton growled. I'm not jealous. I just want to make sure she's safe. I don't want some creep around her. Sebastian sighed. Listen, man, Dilly is a grown woman. She's capable of making her own decisions about who she dates. You can't protect her from everything. I'm not trying to protect her. I'm just damn it, Ashton muttered, rubbing his temples. Can you help me or not? Sebastian's voice softened. I get it, man. But you've got to accept that nothing's going to change unless you tell her how you feel. You've been dodging it for years. Ashton closed his eyes, a mix of frustration and realization washing over him. He couldn't keep running away from his feelings. Fine, he said finally. I'll think about it. But for now, I need you to help me with this. Sebastian didn't answer immediately. Okay, I'll look into it. But don't make me regret this. The call ended, and Ashton was left staring at his phone, feeling more lost than ever. He slumped back on the couch, trying to calm his racing thoughts. He thought about the first time he and Dilly had slept together. How afterward she'd kept her distance. How he had tried to play it cool, but it had never felt the same. He couldn't stop thinking about her, couldn't shake the way he felt. That night, she had been more than just a friend to him. The phone buzzed, breaking his train of thought. He glanced at it, but didn't pick it up. He knew what it was, another reminder that Dilly was out there with someone else. He poured another glass of wine and sat back, the loneliness pressing in. I should be with her, he thought bitterly. Why can't she see it? The night dragged on. Dilly paused in the lobby, turning to Blake with a soft smile. Thanks for walking me in, she said. I had a great time tonight. Blake raised an eyebrow, his expression uncertain. Did you? Because, if I'm honest, you seemed a bit distracted. Don't take this the wrong way, but is everything okay with you and your roommate? I noticed the way he looked at us when I picked you up. I'm not trying to cause any trouble, but if you're dealing with something else, I totally get it. Dilly's gaze dropped to the floor, her feet shuffling nervously. How could she explain to him the complicated mess of feelings that surrounded her and Ashton? She could hardly tell Blake that she had recently shared a more intimate connection with her roommate, one that she wasn't ready to process yet. The whole situation felt too raw. I know I probably took too long to reach out after we met, Blake continued, his tone apologetic. But I really hope this isn't a bad time for you. Dilly sighed. It's a little complicated right now. I'm sorry. Maybe we could try again another time, when I'm not feeling so off? Blake offered a reassuring smile. I'd really like that. But are you sure you don't want to grab another drink? There's a cozy place just around the corner. We could even head to my place afterward. I don't have any roommates. Dilly hesitated, her gaze locking with his. He was handsome, kind, and sincere, everything a girl could want. In that moment, she briefly wondered if maybe being with him would help her forget Ashton, if just for a little while. A part of her wanted to give in, to escape the tension that had built up inside her for so long. But another part of her, the part that had been tormented by her feelings for Ashton for years, knew the truth. Blake was great, but he wasn't Ashton. Not even close. Not tonight, she replied softly, her voice tinged with regret. But maybe some other time? Of course, Blake said with a nod, leaning down to kiss her cheek. He stood by until the elevator doors slid closed between them. As the elevator descended, Dealey leaned back against the mirrored wall, letting out a breath she hadn't realized she was holding. Her mind wandered to Ashton. Was he home by now? And if he was, had he brought someone else home with him? She couldn't help but feel a pang of anxiety at the thought. But then again, it had been weeks since she'd seen him with anyone else. Perhaps he was just being respectful, not wanting to flaunt anything in front of her. The apartment was quiet when Deli stepped inside, the dim light from the hallway casting a soft glow on the space. She felt a surge of relief Ashton wasn't home yet. But as she flipped the switch to turn on the lights, her heart nearly stopped at the sight of a figure sitting in the corner. "Jesus!" she exclaimed, her voice high with surprise. Her hand instinctively reached for the bat she knew Ashton kept in his closet. But then she realized the figure in the corner was none other than him. Ashton. He was sitting in the dark, his eyes half closed as if he hadn't slept in days. Despite the late hour, he looked worn out, his face pale and drawn. Dealey's pulse quickened as she tried to steady her breathing. "What are you doing, sitting here in the dark?" she asked, her voice shaking slightly. "I couldn't sleep," Ashton replied, his voice raspy. "Did you have a good time?" "It was fine," Deli answered, keeping her tone casual. She didn't want him to know how much his presence affected her, how much she wished she could tell him the truth about her feelings. But Ashton wasn't having it. He stood abruptly and walked toward her, his eyes scanning her face with intensity. "Did he kiss you?" he asked, his voice low, almost accusatory. Dealey was taken aback by the question. "No," she replied firmly. "And he didn't touch me either. It was just dinner, Ashton. Not every man is a man who sleeps around on the first date." Ashton's gaze dropped to her lips as if he were considering something. Then he shook his head and sighed deeply. "I'm sorry. It's just seeing you with him. It's hard." Dealey's chest tightened as his words hit her. Was he jealous? Or was it something else, something deeper, something she didn't fully understand? Her mind raced, but before she could stop herself, she found herself leaning into him, her face dangerously close to his. For a brief moment, their lips met tentative, soft, almost as if neither of them wanted to fully commit. But then, as quickly as it had started, Deli pulled away, stepping back from him. "We can't do this, Ashton," she said, her voice steady but filled with emotion. "We agreed we wouldn't do this anymore." Ashton looked at her with a mixture of frustration and longing. "I'm sorry," he muttered. "It's just, I can't help how I feel. Seeing you with him, I don't know how to handle it." Daly felt the sting of his words, but she didn't let him see how much they affected her. "He's not a douche, Ashton. He's a good guy, someone I'm seeing, and I think you'd be happy for me." "Are you going to see him again?" Ashton's voice was tight, his jaw clenching. "Why does it matter to you?" she snapped, feeling the familiar heat of anger rise in her chest. "We agreed to be just friends. You're the one who wanted this distance between us. I'm not your responsibility anymore." Ashton ran a hand through his disheveled hair, frustration evident in his posture. "That's not what I wanted, and you know it. I wanted to see where this could go, but now you're pushing me away. You're too afraid to confront what you feel for me." Deli's heart hammered in her chest. Was he right? Was she afraid to confront her feelings for him? The thought terrified her, but she couldn't admit it, not yet. Not when the idea of opening up to him seemed like the biggest risk of all. "I'm not afraid of anything," she replied sharply, though her voice betrayed her. "I'm just trying to protect myself." Ashton's gaze softened for a moment, but the moment passed too quickly. He stepped closer, his face inches from hers, and before Deli could react, his lips were on hers again. This time, the kiss was deeper, more urgent. His hands found their way to her waist, pulling her closer as their bodies pressed together. But even as her heart raced, Deli couldn't ignore the nagging voice in her head. The one reminding her that this, whatever it was, wasn't enough. It was never going to be enough. Ashton would never be able to give her what she wanted, not in the way she needed it. "Stop," she whispered, breaking away. "This is all just about sex for you, isn't it?" Ashton looked hurt, his expression faltering. How could you say that? Because I've seen it, Ashton. Delilah's voice wavered, the frustration and pain leaking through. You've always bounced from one woman to the next. And now, you're just upset because for once, I'm not begging for more. You only want what you can't have. I've never been like that, he insisted, though there was a hint of uncertainty in his voice. Don't lie, Deli shot back, her anger flaring. You're always taking risks, always chasing something new. But I'm not going to be the girl who waits around for you to decide I'm worth the gamble. Ashton's jaw clenched as he stepped back, running a hand through his messy hair. You've always been so scared of taking risks, he said softly, almost regretfully. What if we could have something great? You never even give it a chance. Deli shook her head, the weight of his words sinking in. She couldn't be that girl anymore, the one who waited around, hoping for something that wasn't ever going to happen. It was time for her to let go, to stop chasing after someone who didn't see her in the way she needed him to. I'm going to bed, she said quietly, turning toward her bedroom. Deli, wait, Ashton called after her, but she didn't turn back. With the door closing softly behind her, Deli sank to the floor, her back against it. The weight of everything, the confusion, the love, the frustration pressed down on her, and for a moment, she just let herself feel it all. What if she had been wrong all along? What if Ashton did care? But then another thought surfaced. What if she was better off without him? Standing up, Deli caught her reflection in the mirror. She was different now, stronger than she'd ever been before. No longer the shy girl from high school, she had blossomed into someone who didn't need Ashton to feel whole. She peeled off her dress, letting it fall to the floor, and admired herself in the mirror. This was the woman she was now, confident, powerful, and no longer waiting around for someone who couldn't give her what she truly needed. No more begging. No more chasing. From now on, she was going to live life on her own terms. Ashton's feet shuffled uneasily as he stood in front of Deli's bedroom door. A moment ago, his anger had driven him here, but now it was regret. The harsh words he had said earlier echoed in his mind. He had been angry, but it wasn't just anger, it was something deeper. Something he had been avoiding for far too long. He wanted to make things right, but he also knew that rushing in blindly would only make things worse. He raised his hand, poised to knock, but then he heard a soft, sniffling sound. It came from the other side of the door. He froze. His heart sank. Deli was crying. He glanced down, seeing the shadow of her sitting against the door. The sight made his chest tighten, and all the anger he had felt before melted into a pit of guilt. He wanted to burst through the door, to pull her into his arms and apologize. But he wasn't ready for that. Not yet. He needed to cool off, to gather his thoughts before he made any more mistakes. See, Deli, I don't always take the risk, he thought bitterly, the memory of their argument playing in his mind. He could imagine her sitting there, thinking about how much of a jerk he was. He didn't blame her for feeling that way. After all, he had messed everything up. The idea of it made him retreat to his own room, clenching his fists in frustration. A cold shower helped calm him, but even after that, he lay in bed, wide awake. His mind was spinning, replaying every word they had exchanged. He had never fought with Deli like this before. He had always assumed they could get through anything, but now, he wasn't so sure. He let a couple of days pass, deciding that distance would give them both some space to clear their heads. He kept to himself, avoiding Deli as much as he could. He needed time to think, and he assumed she needed time to process everything he had said and done. After a long, draining day at work, he met up with Sebastian at a bar near their office. He didn't feel like talking about Deli, but that was all that was on his mind. He could hardly focus on anything else. The life he had before Deli felt empty now. His thoughts were consumed by her laugh, her smile, the way she cared for him in ways he never imagined possible. He remembered how she always made him coffee in the mornings, how she'd bake him his favorite muffins just to make him smile. Deli was always thinking about others, always giving without expecting anything in return. She had a kindness about her that made him feel like the most important person in the world. How did I miss all of this? Ashton wondered. How could I have been so blind? He thought about the night she had trusted him enough to give him her first kiss, her most precious gift. What had he done with it? He had let her down. He had never truly seen her for who she was, someone strong, beautiful, and deserving of so much more than he had offered her. And now, she was going out with someone else, someone he didn't even like. The thought of it made his stomach turn. Dude, when are you just going to give it up? Sebastian's voice interrupted his thoughts. You've liked that girl since high school. Ashton took a long drink from his beer. According to her, I've been jumping from one woman to the next since high school. Well, she's not wrong, Sebastian replied, tilting his head. Did you ever think maybe that's why she hasn't admitted how she feels about you? Ashton sighed, running a hand through his hair. Sure, she knows it'd be different with her. Are we still going on about this? Raphael, another friend, appeared behind them, slapping Ashton on the back. Just tell the woman you love her already. Or one of us is going to do it for you. Ashton shot him a glare. Shut up. Raphael just shrugged, and Sebastian intervened quickly. He didn't mean it. Lighten up. You're going to lose her if you don't make a move. And soon, Raphael warned. I know, Ashton muttered. I fucking know. They kept talking, but Ashton's mind was elsewhere. He thought about all the notes Dilly used to pass him back in high school. She had always cared for him, always shown him a side of herself that he had taken for granted. He wanted to go to her now, to fix everything before it was too late. A thought struck him suddenly. He grabbed a napkin and a pen from the bar, scribbling something down before anyone could stop him. Sebastian raised an eyebrow, but didn't say anything. Oh no, Raphael groaned. Bro, I was just kidding. Don't do that. Ashton ignored him. It's perfect, he said, standing up. I've got to go. Sebastian tipped his glass toward him. Go get her, man. Ashton rushed out of the bar, his heart pounding as he called a car to take him home. He couldn't stop thinking about Delhi, about everything they had been through, and how badly he had messed it up. As the car sped through the city streets, he tried to calm his nerves, but it wasn't working. His mind raced with worry and regret. When he arrived home, he saw the light on in Delai's room. He almost burst through the door, but he paused. He had built up enough courage to face her, but he needed to do it the right way. No more mistakes. He knocked 3 times on her door knock, knock, and waited. There was no answer at first, so he slid the napkin under the door. He felt a nervous anticipation build inside him. His palms were sweaty as he waited for her to respond. Finally, he heard the door creak open. Dealey stood there, holding the napkin in her hand. Ashton? She asked, her voice uncertain. I didn't hear you. What's going on? Did you slide this under the door? Ashton didn't know what to say at first. He looked around the room, noticing the stacks of boxes behind her. She was packing. What's all this? He pushed past her, his voice heavy with concern. My building manager called today, Delhi said quietly. The renovations are complete, so I'm going home. Ashton's heart dropped. This was it. This was his chance to fix everything. But now, she was leaving. Is that what you want? He asked, his throat tight with emotion. Babe. She met his eyes, and for a moment, neither of them said anything. The weight of everything that had happened hung in the air between them. Ashton could feel his heart pounding in his chest. I don't know what to do, Ashton, Delhi said, her voice soft. I can't keep pretending like everything is okay when it's not. He reached for her hand, pulling her closer. Please, he said, his voice barely above a whisper. Don't go. I've messed up so many times, but I can't lose you. She looked up at him, her eyes filled with uncertainty. For a moment, Ashton thought he saw a flicker of hope in her gaze. But then, she shook her head. I need time, Ashton. I can't just forget everything that's happened between us. I need to figure things out for myself. His heart broke at the words. But I can't lose you, he said desperately. I love you, Delhi. She hesitated, looking down at the napkin in her hand. I don't know if I can believe that right now. Ashton took a deep breath, knowing that he couldn't force her to stay. He had already done enough damage. But he wasn't going to give up. Not yet. I'll be here when you're ready, he said softly, his voice full of conviction. I won't give up on us. Dealey looked at him for a long moment, then nodded slowly. I'll think about it. And with that, she closed the door between them. Ashton stood there for a long time, the weight of her words settling in his chest. He didn't know what the future held, but he wasn't ready to let her go, not without a fight. Ashton glanced between the boxes, his shoulders sagging with a sense of desperation. His eyes were filled with confusion as he gently placed his hands on Delai's shoulders. Babe, talk to me, he pleaded, his voice heavy with emotion. The frustration that had been building inside her finally erupted. Her throat tightened, threatening tears, but she fought to keep them back. What do you want, Ashton? Delai asked, her voice strained. Why do you keep asking me what I want, but you never really answer that question for yourself? Ashton snapped back quickly, his tone defensive. Does it matter what I want? You're the one who said you didn't want to risk ruining our friendship. That closes off all the options. Well, what we're doing right now isn't helping much to save our friendship, she retorted, frustration bubbling up. Okay, fine. You want to know what I want? Ashton took a deep breath, his voice earnest, almost desperate. Tell me if you're ready to hear it. I'll do my best, she replied, her heart racing with anticipation. I want you to stay. His thumb brushed her cheek, his touch tender, but filled with an undeniable urgency. I never want you to leave. I want to be the only one who gets to kiss you, go on dates with you, to be the one to sleep beside you. I want all of it. I want you, Deli. A lump formed in her throat as his words sank in. The way his brown eyes searched hers, the depth of emotion in his voice, everything was too much. She collapsed onto the edge of the bed, burying her face in her hands to hold back the tears. The crumpled napkin that Ashton had slipped under her door was still clenched in her fingers, and she almost wiped her face with it in frustration. But when she glanced at it, she noticed the words scribbled on it. Slowly, she unfolded the napkin. It was simple, yet powerful. I'm madly in love with you, Deli. What's this? She whispered, her voice trembling. Did you write this? Ashton knelt before her, taking her hands gently in his. I'm sorry, he said quickly, his voice thick with emotion. It's stupid. I thought it might make it easier to say, but I'm not good at this stuff. You were right about what you said. But then this? She stared at him, feeling a flicker of hope in her chest. Could this really be happening? Was Ashton really in love with her? She read the words again, unsure if she could believe them. Part of her feared it was just a dream, but another part, one she hadn't let out in so long, was overwhelmed with joy. It was a happiness she had never felt before, and it sent a rush of warmth through her. Her heart felt like it might explode with the overwhelming emotion. I thought it was just an accident, he murmured, his voice thick with emotion. What started happening between us? But maybe deep down, I knew it all along. I love you, Deli. Oh, Ashton. Her voice faltered, tears threatening to spill as she looked at him, the surge of love rising in her chest. I kept pushing away the bigger picture, he continued, but the more I had of you, the more I wanted. I want you to stay. I don't want us to have to keep avoiding each other because we might cross a line again. I want us to be more than that. I want you with me, always. I don't want this to end.